And today, they are moving to radical attack on basic values of family and so on. I would like to address all citizens of the country, not just those who are in this audience. I'd like to address everyone in Russia. Do we want here in Russia, in this country, do we want father and mother to be replaced by parent number one, parent number two? Are they crazy? Do we want in our schools, right from the early age, so the children are being advertised all these sexual deviations and so on, and where they're offered to change their gender and so on? Do we want any of that for our country? None of that is acceptable to us. We have our own future. The dictature of Western elites is aimed at subjugation of people of their own countries too. Everyone. Complete denial of people's rights, and they are moving towards the open Satanism. Jesus said that you will see people, you'll see the people by their actions. American elites, in essence, are using the tragedy of these people in order to weaken their competitors, in order to conquer the national states. And this goes for other countries, France, Spain, Italy, and so on. And Washington is asking for more and more sanctions, and majority of European leaders simply agree to this. They understand that America is pushing for complete cut-off of Russian energy to EU in order to capture the European market themselves. The European elites understand all of that themselves, but they prefer to just submit to these demands. And this is just a betrayal of their people, of their own people. But Anglo-Saxons are not happy with the sanctions. They moved to terrorist attacks, having arranged the explosions on the pipelines, gas pipelines in the sea. And they are destroying the European infrastructure. It's all clear who benefits from this.
This is President Putin. The West is ready to cross every line to preserve the neo-colonial system, which allows it to live off the world, to plunder it thanks to the domination of the dollar and technology, to collect an actual tribute from humanity, to extract its primary source of unearned prosperity, the rent paid to the hegemon. The preservation of this annuity is their main, real, and absolutely self-serving motivation. This is why,
he's saying that the New World Order boys are taxing
the world.
And
he's right, they are. This is why total desovereignization is in their interest. In other words, they need to eliminate sovereign nations. This explains why their aggression towards independent states, traditional values, and authentic cultures, and their attempts to undermine international integration processes, new global currencies, and technological development centers they cannot control. It is critically important for them to force all countries to surrender their sovereignty to the United States. Now, he said in certain countries, the ruling elite voluntarily agree to do this, voluntarily agree to become vassals. He's speaking about Europe in particular here. Others are bribed or intimidated. And if this doesn't work, they destroy entire states, leaving behind humanitarian disasters, devastation, ruins, millions of wrecked and mangled human lives, terrorist enclaves, social disaster zones, protectorates, colonies, and semi-colonies. They don't care. All they care about is their own benefit.
Okay, so let's give some. Iraq, Syria, Libya, Afghanistan. Those are examples of what he just described.
Right.
The trail of destruction that America's ruling elite have left behind. Everywhere that they go, there's death and destruction. And, Doc, the world is coming to a place where it's saying, we've had enough of it. We don't want any more of it, and we're prepared to die to stop it. Putin is saying, we're ready to put everything on the line because we know if we don't stop it, we will become slaves. He knows it. You know, we used to say here in America, better dead than red. They're now saying it.
Right. Better dead than red, white, and blue.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah. But how can you argue with them when you see the path of destruction that the U.S. and the West and their allies in the West leave behind everywhere they go? It's death and destruction.
Just look inside the U.S. Look what the FBI has become. It's the old German Gestapo. It's the old Russian Soviet KGB. That's our FBI today.
Yeah, Rick, one of the terms you hear tossed about, especially by Western diplomats, is we want to have a rules-based order. A rules-based order. You hear that term a lot. Well, Vladimir Putin spoke to that today, and he said, all we hear is the West is insisting on a rules-based order. Where did that come from anyway? Who has ever seen these rules? Who agreed or approved them? Listen, this is just a lot of nonsense, utter deceit, double standards, and even triple standards. They must think we're stupid. Russia is a great 1,000-year-old power, a whole civilization, and it is not going to live by such makeshift false rules. Western elites not only deny national sovereignty and international law, the hegemony has pronounced features of totalitarianism, despotism, and apartheid. Now listen to this. They brazenly divide the world into their vassals, the so-called civilized countries, and all the rest, who, according to the designs of today's Western races, should be added to the list of barbarians and savages. False labels like rogue country or authoritarian regime are already available and are used to stigmatize entire nations and states, which is nothing new. There's nothing new in this. Deep down, the Western elites have remained the same colonizers. They discriminate and divide peoples into the top tier and the rest. I mean, he's really scorching a lot of people here, Rick.
Well, this last quote is even a little bit hotter.
They call the orders and threats they make to their vassals Euro-Atlantic solidarity and the creation of biological weapons and the use of human test subjects, including in Ukraine, noble medical research. It is their destructive policies, wars, and plunder that have unleashed today's massive wave of migrants. Millions of people endure hardships and humiliation or die by the thousands trying to reach Europe.
It's a pretty heavy day. So, we're dealing with the President of Russia called our country satanic. And I'd agree with it.
Right.
Okay. Everything he said about us is true. And today was just one day that it was very, very real to me that we are headed towards a nuclear war. And we have no guarantee that we're going to make it to the end of the year. So each of you need to come to grips with this. Now, it's possible. It is possible, and I hope this happens. It is possible that Western leaders will secretly, privately confer and say, we've pushed Putin far enough for now. Let's back off. It's possible, Doc. Is it probable? No, I don't think it's probable. It's possible. So I'm not fatalistic in the sense of it's over, it's done, we're all going to die next week. It is possible that Western leaders will privately conclude we got to take our foot off of his neck and let him let him breathe a little bit, or he's going to push the button. It's possible. It's also possible that Western leaders are demoniacs. And they have a blood religion, a religion of death. And they really want this war. Look, either way, we're in trouble.